This is the Predator 60363. I want to show the valve rotators and the valve springs. This is a Hemi, and I've taken off the valve cover. This particular one has a cast valve cover, kind of distinguishes it. These are the rocker arms, and if I go through here, these are the rotators. Those help rotate the valve. If I go in here and pry this out, they're held in by some goop or stuff, so if you got this playing around, you can lose these on the floor. But this little rotator deals go on top of the valve here, and they help rotate the valve. If I take the retainer, push it down, I can pull the valve off like this. There's the valve spring. There's the retainer. And here is the valve. It's 5.5 millimeters in diameter. Of course, this is the adjustment for the valve clearance. That's the intake valve. I can pull that out. There's the valve guide that's down in there. There's the valve. I'll go ahead and take the exhaust valve out the same way. You can just kind of push this over, and there this rotator went flying. It uses the same rotator on either side. There's the springs. And the guide looks a little bit different on here, on the exhaust than on the intake. The valves are the same, the stem is the same size on here. They're both 5.5 diameter. There's the intake, is of course bigger in diameter than the exhaust. It's 27 versus 25. They're the way they're dressed on an unused engine. And down inside of here, from the piston here side, the valve guides look similar in there. And then on the rocker arm side, it looks like the one that's on the intake here, which is the bigger diameter one, has a different look to it for some reason. And it looks like there's an added rubber seal here. That's probably for sealing, because you don't want to pull crap in there, but that's a compliant little seal here. You can push on it. It's some type of plastic type material, in the sense that's not metal. And then on the exhaust side, it's not. It looks like it's all just metal there. These look like they've got a ring around here. There's like a snap ring that's on this. It is probably pulled out to push that on. Looks like there's a snap ring on the guide on this one. Of course, to get the rockers off here, you've got C-clips that you push off on either side. Pull a pin out. These are just loose. Rock back and forth. And the push rods, of course, come through here and touch the stamping underneath here on the rod. The push rod touches the arm here like this. These are symmetrical, looks like. Of course, there's the intake. These studs are really in there. If you try to put a pair of vice grips and try to pull those, rotate those out of there, they must be gooped in or something, because I put something that really put a hell of a lot of torque and it didn't want to come out of there. Same thing with these. These look like they've got some mystery goop on there to kind of lock them on. I'm not sure if you can get those out of there without screwing up the casting. Now the push rods, they go over here. Of course, go down into this area. Let me zoom in there. This is right below the piston, and I'm putting a push rod in there to where it contacts. That goes down to the cam. I know that's not the best. I probably should have brought a pen light to shine down in there. Anyways, there's the push rods that go through there. I'll put the other push rod in. Now what I'm going to do here is I'm going to go around the other side here. I'm going to purposely pull a recoil starter, and you can see these kind of move around. They don't move much. But these are moving up and down, of course, to move the valves. Now that's a little bit hokey, but maybe not be obvious. Anyways, this is the Predator cylinder head on the Hemi here. It's kind of interesting design. There's a hemispherical chamber, of course. 14mm plug. You know, I took this apart. Part of the gasket came off on here, so that to put this together, I'll probably have to get a new gasket and scrape the old one off. I'm not sure of how much of that's usable. Might be usable in a pinch, but it's probably better to get a new gasket. 14mm. Here's the laser etched run number or something on the engine. It's a G200 is a series. This is a clone, of course, of probably a Honda. These little things here, the valve rotators, are, when this is pre-assembled at the factory, it all has some goop on it, so they tend to hold. But in playing around this, I actually lost one temporarily because I was carrying it to a different room and it popped out. So normal use, you're not going to lose them, but if you're taking one apart like this, just be careful. You need a area so you not lose the darn things. Here's the adjustments. It's got a fine screw that you can rotate this around with a square on the top, and then this has got a hex, which is the jam nut, and that was, of course, designed so when you're top dead center, you want the valve, of course, to fully seat. So you got a little bit of clearance on here. That's what that's about. That's so you cool the valves off. Normally that's 3 or 4 thousandths. You got to look it up, but I mean it's to where there's some clearance underneath here, so that the valves are fully seated for cooling reasons. If they don't, you're going to burn the heck out of the valves. And so a lot of times on engines, when they're got 50 hours or 20, 30 hours on it, people go through and readjust this on engines just so you get a longer life. If you have it where there's no clearance on there, you're going to lose power, plus you can burn the heck out of the valves.